Although Sardinia is the second largest island in the Mediterranean, it is sparsely populated and remains relatively unspoilt by mass tourism. This is probably the reason why it still has preserved natural habitats and a rich biodiversity. No less than 26 species of reptiles and amphibians are to be found in Sardinia. 4 species of turtles live there, and these unexpected inhabitants are directly connected to the various people who have settled this hostile and rugged land, starting with the Etruscans and the ancient Greeks. The most recent scientific studies appear to show that all the species of turtles present in Sardinia today were introduced. So let's go and discover the turtles of this overlooked island. Located in the Mediterranean to the south of Corsica and to the west of Italy, Sardinia is the second largest island in the Mediterranean after Sicily. The island covers over 24,000 square kilometres and can be reached by boat from Italy, to which it belongs, or from Corsica. So it's from Corsica's southern shore that our team has decided to make its way there. It's morning when we board the boat from Bonifacio, where daily services connect the 2 islands. By taking this route, we can admire the high chalk cliffs on top of which sits the Corsican fortified city. The crossing also allows us to admire the agility with which the yellow-legged gulls are tracking the boat, in the hope that some of the regular passengers on the Franco-Italian ferry might throw out a piece of bread. One hour later, we arrive in the small port of Santa Teresa di Gallura, which is located at the northern tip of Sardinia. Without losing any time, we leave the port and start prospecting in the surrounding countryside, where the largest European land tortoise lives, the marginated tortoise. This species can be found in various habitats across the northeastern part of the island, notably in the pastures lined with thick bushy hedges and dry stone walls. It's early April and these pastures are covered in flowers. Marginated tortoises are common in this unspoilt habitat, and it's not long before Jérôme discovers his first specimen.
Désolé ma petite mémère, mais là, on va te déranger un petit peu. Superbe tortue bordée. Notre première de la journée, première du voyage également. La plus grande tortue terrestre méditerranéenne, qui atteint jusqu'à 40 cm de longueur à l'âge adulte, qui est caractérisée par une carapace noire, étroite. Elle est noire, tachetée de points jaunes sur chaque écaille costale et vertébrale. Et elle possède les marginales, les écailles donc, qui sont situées sur le pourtour de la carapace, qui à l'arrière sont très évasées et qui lui donnent cet aspect de jupe. Le dessous est jaune avec des taches triangulaires noires, très apparentes. Et le plastron creux, ici, indique avec l'épaisseur et la longueur de la queue que nous sommes en présence d'un mâle adulte. Un très très beau mâle, avec sa tête massive, ses pattes épaisses, couvertes d'écailles. Ça fait toujours plaisir d'observer ces animaux qui ont 30-40 ans d'âge et qui vivent encore dans des milieux préservés, en cohabitation parfaite avec l'homme. C'est vraiment un très beau spécimen.
The marginated tortoise is native to the Greek peninsula, spreading all the way into the foothills of the Albanian mountains. It was introduced to Sardinia several thousand years ago, but scientists ignore how this species was brought onto the island. Its presence thus remains an unsolved mystery. This species is the largest land tortoise in Europe, and its carapace grows up to 44 centimetres in length. The colour of its upper shell ranges from grey to anthracite black, and sometimes carries lighter patches on the top of its back. Its back legs, and especially the front ones, are covered in scales which vary in size and thickness. It has a broad head ending with a sharp horned beak. With its fully armoured build, it looks like a mobile fortress ready to brave the toughest battles. Its large size and short legs produce a slow and hesitant gait, although each step taken is extremely delicate. Nevertheless, this is a robust and sturdy animal, and no obstacle will stop it in its stride, and certainly not the many streams which run through its territory. Whilst marginated tortoises feel at home in wet grasslands, they can also be found in drier habitats, such as heathland. In fact, it's in this typically Mediterranean habitat that we come across a young specimen. It measures less than 5 centimetres long and weighs 21 grams. Its overall cream colouring is punctuated with black markings along the edges of its dorsal scales. Thanks to its small size and homogeneous colouring, it is able to blend in with the Sardinian bush and thus evade its predators. Marginated tortoises are still common in some parts of Sardinia, and despite the respect shown by Sardinians for their wild tortoises, these animals are regularly killed by road traffic. Prospecting for one particular species in the field often leads to unexpected encounters. As we follow a stream looking for marginated tortoises, we come across a group of Franco-Italian terrapins.
La cistu de sarde se rencontre dans divers habitats aquatiques comme ce petit ruisseau dans lequel je viens de trouver un mâle et une femelle cistu de sarde. Alors ce qui est intéressant à la première vue, c'est leur petite taille, sans doute dû à des ressources alimentaires qui sont relativement difficiles à trouver pour elles. La carapace est entièrement couverte d'une algue qui ne permet pas de déceler les petits points jaunes qui sont caractéristiques de l'espèce, bien que sur la peau, toute noire, on peut voir ces taches jaunes assez singulières. Elles sont vraiment très très jolies.
In Sardinia, these turtles are present along the coastline, with a few rare sightings further inland, and even then mostly in the north of the island. Franco-Italian terrapins are almost identical to their close relatives in Corsica or on the continent. They have a black background colouring, flecked with yellowish dots or streaks. Their legs end with strong sharp claws, which enable them to tear apart their prey. Males usually have a black pupil and a brick red iris, but those we encountered in Sardinia often had a white or light yellow iris. It appears to us that all the terrapins here are fairly small in size. Those we observed live in a shallow and narrow stream. They are up to 10 centimetres long and weigh between 190 and 230 grams. This goes to show the extent to which the terrapins adapt to whatever habitat they find themselves in and the resources available. The limited food supply obliges them to restrict their appetite and consequently their growth. Leaving the tortoises and terrapins behind, we continue our Sardinian adventure. Our second stopover takes place at the heart of Mount Limbara, which peaks at 1,353 metres. It's early spring and the foothills of these mountains are covered in lush vegetation, amidst which asphodels reign supreme. Our climb up takes us through thick pine forests which cover an immense maze of granite boulders. The mineral and plant worlds of Mount Limbara thus mould into one another in perfect harmony. It's here we want to meet one of the island's endemic inhabitants, an amphibian which lives in the mountain streams that cut across this rugged terrain, where Jérôme and Johan begin their search. They're looking for a small and rare urodela, one which is particularly discreet during the daytime, the Sardinian mountain newt.
Nous sommes dans les monts Limbara, dans les ruisseaux de montagne, à la recherche d'une espèce mythique pour la Sardaigne, le procte sarde, et c'est sous un petit caillou, dans une vasque peu profonde, que je viens de trouver le premier spécimen, un mâle adulte.
The Sardinian mountain newt can grow up to 14 centimetres in length and features a slender body with smooth skin. It has 2 pairs of legs and a long prehensile tail, which comes into great use when swimming. Its scientific name, Euproctus platycephalus, perfectly describes the flattened shape of its head, which allows it to work its way around and to hunt for the invertebrates it feeds off. It is olive green, light brown to dark brown in colouring, and marked with yellow or green patches and marbling. This salamander inhabits the eastern side of the island, up to Mount Limbara in the north, via the Gennargentu Massif in the centre, and all the way down to the Setta Fratelli range in the south. Although it is able to step out of water for short periods of time, the Sardinian mountain newt mostly lives in streams, rivers, and mountain lakes. It particularly enjoys the shallow and oxygen-rich waters of streams, at the bottom of which it likes to hide under rocks or dead leaves. Its overall colouring, which blends into the surface upon which it is progressing, and the discretion with which it moves, make it quite difficult to observe in the field. Naturalists have to be very patient and pay great attention in order to catch a glimpse of it amidst the tumultuous waters of Mount Limbara. Its favourite habitats are pools, which form here and there and are filled with clear running water. It has adapted to aquatic environments to such an extent that its body has gradually transformed to enable it to breathe via its skin, which processes the oxygen present in water, whilst its lungs have grown smaller over generations, or have even disappeared in some specimens. Although Sardinian mountain newts have always sought to keep out of harm's way, this species is under serious threat from water pollution, the destruction of its habitat, the introduction of trout, and prolonged droughts. In addition, for several years now, a water fungus has been decimating a number of amphibian species across the world, including the Sardinian mountain newts, who are gradually disappearing amidst general indifference. We leave behind Sardinia's eastern highlands and make our way west to Alghero. The region of Alghera is blessed with crystalline turquoise waters, which every year attract many tourists seeking to enjoy this relaxing paradise. Our intuition takes us to a pine forest nearby the sea. This area is made up of overgrown fields bordered by hedges and thick brambles. The alternation of open and closed areas constitutes an ideal habitat for Hermann's tortoises.
Alors on est dans les hautes herbes, il y a des passages, et des passages qui mènent forcément à un moment donné à une tortue. Et en l'occurrence, une belle femelle, reconnaissable à son plastron plat, sa petite queue, jolie femelle Hermann, avec toujours cette couleur caractéristique, jaune paille tachetée de noir. Et la petite tache située juste en dessous de l'œil. Ses écailles sont épaisses, munies de 5 griffes aux pattes avant, avec de grosses écailles sur les pattes. Elle était en train de prendre le soleil. Nous sommes en milieu de matinée, à l'heure où ces reptiles aiment bien se chauffer avant d'entrer en activité.
In Sardinia, Hermann's tortoise can be found in a few isolated spots, from the north to the south, but always along the coastline. According to current data, it is not known to be present inland. Hermann's tortoise can grow up to 20 to 25 centimetres in length. Its carapace, which is oval and dome-shaped, is greenish-yellow in colour, with fairly neatly contoured black patterns. Its legs are covered in scales of various sizes and end in straight and pointed claws. This species enjoys being close to dense hedges, under which it will sit adopting its sunbathing posture for most of the morning. The more timid, such as this male, will remain inside a bushy area and find a patch of sunlight in order to thermoregulate. Another one of these tortoises, a younger specimen, is venturing out in the open beneath the pine trees which delimit the fields where it was born. Hermann's tortoise adapts to the different types of terrains which it encounters along its journey. High grass in abandoned fields, rocky slabs, or even sand dunes leading off the beaches. This old female just keeps on going, undeterred by any obstacles in her path. For Hermann's tortoises, life is a matter of determination. But its determination often clashes with human activity, such as slash and burn farming, which threatens the species' survival. When it is not kept under close control, this ancient practice often causes terrible forest fires, which lead to the death of many tortoises every year. A search of the area also provides evidence of the intense activity of wild boars, who are very partial to the tortoises' eggs. The boars find the eggs by ploughing around through the loose or firm soil with their powerful snouts.
Notre équipe reprend sa route vers le nord, direction le lac Baratz, le seul lac naturel de Sardaigne.
Lake Baratz is surrounded by low-lying hills, covered in dense bushes and a forest made of Aleppo and domestic pine trees. It is a quiet and isolated place, a true haven of biodiversity. It is actually the location of a scientific and environmental educational research project funded by the EEC. Fauna is omnipresent. No less than 65 bird species, 15 species of mammals, 10 species of reptiles, including the turtle and Hermann's tortoise, and 3 species of amphibians have been identified on this site, which is deemed to be unique for the region. Naturally, we decide to set up camp here in order to start prospecting as quickly as possible. The sound of crackling leaves nearby betrays the presence of a Hermann's tortoise roaming amidst the myrtle and strawberry bushes. This species is actually quite common by the lakeshore. We finally reach the water's edge, where heathland has been replaced by a more hygrophilous type of vegetation, made up of African tamarisk, bulrush, reed and various other types of rushes. Hidden amongst the riparian vegetation, we make the most of this opportunity to watch an Eurasian coot feeding its young in the nest with small pieces of aquatic plants, which the chick is gobbling up frenetically. Further on, an adult is pulling up plants which it hurriedly swallows, whilst a great crested grebe is waiting to plant its beak into the next careless fish that swims by. On the lake shore, a male turtle is resting in the sun. He seems to have noticed us. He slowly unfolds his neck, stretches out his body, raises his head. Then suddenly the disturbed animal dives into the water, heading straight for the submerged plant beds, just in front of a wary black bass. We decide to do the same and dive into the water in the hope of catching at least one turtle in order to learn more about it. It has been a particularly wet winter. The water levels of the lake are high. The shore is inundated and whole clumps of pointed rushes, which usually grow on land, are now growing underwater, and this slows us down. After over an hour spent prospecting, we finally managed to catch a turtle.
Nous sommes dans le lac de Baratz, dans le nord-ouest de la Sardaigne, dans un endroit propice à la présence de nombreuses cistudes. Et nous venons de capturer un joli mâle avec les couleurs caractéristiques, à savoir une dossière très très sombre, mouchetée de petits points jaunes, un plastron à dominant jaune avec de grandes taches noires. Et le cou, toutes les parties molles, les pattes, le cou, la tête et la queue sont entièrement noirs, avec également des petites taches jaunes. La queue est très longue, ce qui indique que c'est un mâle, avec les griffes des pattes avant effilées particulièrement recourbées, et une tête un peu plus massive que celle de la femelle.
Having left the lake behind us, we come face to face with a western whip snake posted at the entrance to its hide. This long snake, which can grow up to 1.70 metres, is very common in Sardinia, where it lives both on the coast and inland. Its slender body is either entirely black or dark green flecked with yellow. Whilst prospecting on the heath, we come across a specimen with an atypical colouring, soaking up the sunshine. It doesn't have a black and yellow coat like most of its kind. Instead, it is olive grey to brown, with a salmon pink underbelly. We also surprise another snake who is on the lookout. It is keeping an eye on its immediate surroundings, ready to react quickly should any threat arise or prey pass by. It relaxes finally and ends up yawning with its mouth wide open. The snake decides to venture out along a granite slab in order to warm up, and who knows, with a bit of luck, a vole or a lizard might even cross its path. The western whip snake slithers along the ground by undulating its body. You can tell it's growing nervous from the increasingly rapid movements of its forked tongue. Its tongue picks up on odorous particles, which are then transmitted to its Jacobson's organ. Located in the roof of its mouth, this organ acts like a mini laboratory, which analyses the scents it comes across. Is this a prey or a predator? This radar system, together with an excellent vision, enable it to survive in what is often a hostile environment. Suddenly, another snake pops out of a hole from under a rock, followed by a second one. First the female, then the male. The latter is riding the female, wrapped around and stimulating her with jolts along the full length of her body. The bold and passionate attention he's given his partner is keeping the male snake from noticing us, and we thus enjoy a rare opportunity to observe the intimate moments of a couple of western whip snakes. But soon night time comes, and the lake and its inhabitants are draped in a veil of darkness, with the nocturnal species taking over in full song. The lake hosts a significant population of Sardinian tree frogs, but given its size and particularly high water levels this year, it's going to be difficult for us to get close to them. We'll have to be patient.
Tiens, mémoire, Johan. Je n'arrivais pas à la localiser, elle chantait, petite rainette sarde, un mâle qui appelle la femelle. Elles sont jolies, hein?
Sardinian tree frogs can be found across the entire island, specifically in damp habitats located both on the coast and inland. The colouring of this small tree frog, which measures between 4 and 5.5 centimetres long, varies from apple green to salmony beige, and it is often marked with dark green spots. A Sardinian tree frog can be identified even from a distance thanks to its fast and high-pitched song, which turns into a deafening concert when several specimens are all singing together from the same spot. As we get closer, the amphibians suddenly go silent, waiting for the danger to pass before they pick up on their sing-song again. It becomes difficult, therefore, for the naturalist to pinpoint exactly where the music is coming from. This male, whom we have caught off guard, has stopped singing, but has not managed to do away with his instrument, a vocal sac filled with air which is currently not being used. This male hasn't noticed us yet. We close in on him from behind, and are thus able to appreciate the singer's methodical professionalism. He has a powerful, high-pitched staccato song, which he throws out like a multitude of bottles cast into the sea, each one of them containing a love note. This Moorish gecko isn't singing, and seems a little bemused by such expressions of joy. The gecko flattens its body against the visible surface of rocks or of tightly anchored trees, thanks to its toes covered in adhesive strips. It's a discreet lizard, measuring approximately 15 centimetres long. In Sardinia, the Moorish gecko can be found in the northern and eastern coastal areas of the island, as well as across most of the south. This gecko has a stocky build with grey to light brown colouring. Its big, bulging eyes provide excellent vision, which is particularly useful when hunting for the insects it feeds off, but also to identify any potential threat. The eye is not covered by a mobile eyelid, but rather by a fixed transparent lens with a black vertical pupil. Its flattened out fingers and toes are equipped with 12 adhesive strips, which enable it to walk along any surface in pretty much any position. This seasoned acrobat can walk around upside down or up a vertical surface without any problem and with incredible agility. The little red dots visible on its legs and around its eyes are not out of any coquettishness on the part of our gecko. In fact, they are small bloodthirsty mites busy sucking its blood whilst hitching a ride. A little further on, by the shore of Lake Baratz, life is in full swing. After months or years spent underwater hunting for tree frog spawn or other minuscule life forms, a dragonfly larva has dragged itself out of the water along an emerged plant. Slowly, its body contracts until it becomes completely still, and then, with great discretion, undertakes an amazing transformation. From this larva, which had formed into a cocoon, the dragonfly to be delicately emerges. First its head, next its body, and finally its legs. It will take a lot of energy for it to unfold its wings and stretch out its body to dry, before being able to fly off at dawn towards new adventures. It's now time for us to leave Lake Baratz behind and get back on the road towards the south in search of spur-thighed tortoises in their natural environment. We drive through valleys marked out by wild hedges, fences and dry stone walls. Sardinia's economy, which is dominated by livestock grazing, largely contributes to preserving the environment and thus maintaining a variety of microhabitats which are favourable to reptiles. On our way there, we stop off by the side of the road close to a stone wall in order to take a look at a small lizard, the pygmy algiroids. The pygmy algiroids, named in French l'algiroide de Fitzinger, after the Austrian herpetologist Leopold Fitzinger, is a small lizard, native to Corsica and Sardinia. It can grow up to 12.5 centimetres long. It has a flattened body, a narrow and pointy head, and is covered in strongly keeled scales. Its top side is of an even brown colour, whilst its underbelly has a more orangey hue. In Sardinia, this lizard can be found in most regions, from the coast all the way up to 1,800 metres high on Mount Gennargentu. The low walls which border the meadows are made up of numerous dry stones placed on top of one another, and offer our discreet little saurian a multitude of hiding places. The pygmy algiroid spends most of his time basking in the sun, whilst always remaining close to its hide. Most of this species' habits remain a true mystery, as no study has ever been carried out in order to acquire a better understanding of its biology. All that we know is that it greedily feeds off spiders, ants and flies, which it catches with great agility. Mating takes place in the spring and can lead to violent clashes between the males. Some of them, such as this one, may not have lost his head, but most certainly his tail. Many European lizards have this ability to lose their caudal appendix. This phenomena is known as autotomy. When under attack or being preyed upon, the tail breaks off level with one of the vertebrae. The tail end, which has dropped off and is still wriggling, distracts the predator's attention away from its prey, which will then try to escape. Another larger and more colourful species now draws our attention. This is a Tyrrhenian wall lizard, who often shares the same habitat as the algeroids. These two species are only found in Corsica and Sardinia, and they are both common in Sardinia. This average-sized lizard can grow up to 20 centimetres in length as an adult. Its colouring greatly varies from one population to another. Males, such as this one, are adorned in vibrant and highly contrasting colours, which vary from green to blue, with black marbling and flecked with one or several blue patches on its flanks. The male always perches on the highest and most open spot of his living quarters. This habit enables him to foresee any impending danger to him and his female. Should any trouble arise, he will take refuge in his hide until the threat has gone away. The atrophied tail of this male is evidence of just how intense the rivalry gets during the springtime mating period between April and June. Once mating is over, the female will spend a long time exposing her body to the sunlight to help her eggs mature. This can sometimes put her in uncomfortable situations, such as this female, who is holding on to a narrow branch, despite her bulging flanks indicating that she's not far off from laying her eggs. Moving on from this spot, we continue our journey towards the region of Oristano, where we decide to spend the night by the shore. The following morning we begin prospecting again, as this is where we hope to film the spur-thighed tortoise. Jérôme is walking along a rocky plain lining the blue waters of the Mediterranean. The scrubby vegetation comprises, amongst other plants, rock roses, rosemary and dwarf palm trees, which make up often impenetrably dense thickets. The sun is shining, but the cool wind is discouraging the tortoises from coming out to warm up. And so we have a lot of trouble in finding our first tortoise, a handsome adult male.
Notre premier mâle tortue mauresque, caractéristique avec ses couleurs jaune paille sur la carapace, tachetée de noir et une tête très noire anthracite avec des petites taches jaunes. On est vraiment en présence d'un bel exemplaire de tortue mauresque.
The spur-thighed tortoise can be found in several sites across Sardinia, but always in coastal zones. It can grow up to approximately 20 centimetres long. Its massive head is yellow and black. Its carapace is pale yellow, with a black mark on the middle of each scale. Its legs, which are covered in strong scales, are also yellow and black. Once the tortoise has warmed up nicely in the sunshine, he goes off and explores his territory with great determination. Obstacles are not an issue. He's just as happy trekking through scrubby or high grass as he is marching across sandbanks. He doesn't hesitate either to cross an open track to complete his survey, before deciding to disappear into the nearest thicket. This tortoise's incessant activity has attracted the attention of an Italian wall lizard, which is at the entrance to its hide. The Italian wall lizard is a sturdy saurian, which can grow up to 26 centimetres long. Its natural range comprises Italy, Sicily and the Dalmatian coast, all the way down to Dubrovnik. It was introduced to Sardinia, but has acclimatised well and has thus colonised most of the island, especially the sandy and rocky zones alongside the beaches. It has a large head, especially the males. Its eye is characterised by a red to brown pupil. Most of its body is bright green and marked with dark marbled patterns and ends in a long and slender tail. A blue eye spot circled in black can be seen just above both its forelegs. Its muscular legs end with short, sharp claws. In Sardinia, it is the privileged guest of stone walls and dry embankments, where it makes its home in any abandoned hole. The Italian wall lizard spends most of its days taking in the sun's heat. Any surface is good enough, such as this large rock lying amidst the Sardinian heathland. The end of our trip is in sight, and it's now time for us to head towards our final destination. We therefore cross Sardinia towards the island's eastern coast. We're driving along a rocky track in the heart of the Gennargentu mountain range, which reaches an altitude of 1,834 metres and is in the centre of Sardinia's largest national park. We're hoping to meet a species of cave amphibian which has taken up residence in these arid and windswept highlands. But before we get there, by the roadside, we come across an unusual looking lizard standing at the entrance to a crevice. An ocellated skink. This saurian has a powerful streamlined body build. The scales on its back and belly are smooth. It has short legs and its pointy head is not very distinct from its body. The cylindrical tail is also short in comparison to its body. Its colouring constitutes various shades of brown, flecked with black and white spots. In Sardinia, the ocellated skink can be found more or less anywhere, but appears to be more common in the south. It feels particularly at home in dry and dense grassland, roadside embankments, stone heaps, wood piles and rock crevices. It is a discreet species and it likes to lie in the sun in the early hours of the morning before it gets too hot. It greedily hunts for small invertebrates swarming under stones or in the uncultivated borders of crop fields. We're back on the road again and finally reach the ultimate stage of our naturalist journey, located in the heart of Mount Gennargentu. Making their way across a maze of granite blocks, Johan and Jérôme follow the bed of a dried-up river, which eventually leads them into a dark cave. This remote location is where a rare and endangered Urodela lives, the Supramonte cave salamander. The two naturalists are carefully making their way through the extremely slippery calcareous concretions of varying sizes lining their path. In this world of silence and darkness, one has to remain vigilant at all times, and if Johan and Jérôme want to catch sight of the animal they are hoping to meet, they must examine every corner of this unusual habitat. The atmosphere is cool and damp, and water is seeping out of all the walls in the cave. The two explorers are fairly quick to catch sight of their first specimen, which remains curiously immobile.
Une petite salamandre cavernicole. Tiens, voilà, regarde Yo.
Ouais.
Ah ouais. Ah, on vient d'en trouver une. C'est un petit amphibien qui vit dans les grottes et qui se nourrit de micro-insectes qu'il trouve au cours de ses balades.
The Supramonte cave salamander looks like a small land salamander with its two bulging eyes sitting atop a wide and oval head. Its long and slim body extends into a rather thick and cylinder-shaped tail. Its short legs end with webbed and stubby fingers and toes, which are wider at the extremities. Its colouring varies according to the specimen and its age, dark to black with olive green and sometimes yellowish or greyish-green flecks or marbling. The Supramonte cave salamander is a species native to the Nuoro province in the central eastern part of Sardinia. It lives in the karstic mountains of the Supramonte and is estimated to have a natural range of 614 square kilometres. Even if it's quite common in some areas, it remains endangered because of the threats of deforestation, urbanisation, agriculture and illegal poaching. Despite its debonair appearance, the Supramonte cave salamander will surprise you in many ways, but especially by its agility. This cave acrobat clearly knows no law of gravity. Whether vertical or horizontal, this Urodela is always equally sure-footed. Its secret lies with the shape of its legs made of semi-webbed fingers and toes, which widen out at the ends. Its lightweight body held up by strong limbs and prehensile tail ensures it is perfectly stable on any terrain. The Supramonte cave salamander belongs to the Speleomantis genus, which comprises 7 species across Europe, of which 4 are present in Sardinia. It lives in damp places and often takes refuge in crevices, under stones or rocks located both inside and outside caves, for despite what one might expect, this species does not live exclusively in caves. It doesn't possess lungs and breathes instead through its damp and gleaming skin. Its diet is made up of a great variety of terrestrial microinvertebrates. Spiders, insects, small crustaceans are all caught on its expeditions, thanks to a remarkable hunting tool, a very long protractile tongue, sometimes as long as its body. Its tongue ends in a swollen and adhesive bulge, thus is ejected at a speed which even chameleons would envy. The female lays more than 10 eggs, all connected to one another by transparent mucous cords, in crevices which are inaccessible to predators. She possessively protects her eggs, even if sometimes a sudden pang of hunger might lead her to nibble 1 or 2 of them. Our Sardinian adventure has come to an end, and it's time for us to leave this beautiful island with its invaluable natural treasures, whose protection and conservation we sincerely hope will become a priority in the very near future.
Notre voyage en Sardaigne se termine. Après 15 jours passés sur le terrain et plus de 800 km parcourus, nous avons observé les 4 espèces qui peuplent la grande île, à savoir la tortue d'Hermann, la tortue mauresque, la tortue bordée et la cistude sarde. Il ne nous reste plus qu'à regagner le continent via la Corse et vous donner rendez-vous prochainement pour de nouvelles aventures sur les traces des tortues sauvages.